you guys, it's your girl Dosh coming back to you from Real Takes. Today I'll be doing a review to Black Lightning, episode 12, The Resurrection and the Light, the Book of Pain. And as you just heard me say, episode 12, you guys, we are one away for the season finale. Cannot believe it. Let's just say this was a great episode. I enjoy this one immensely. Sorry, guys, that I'm just getting this out there to you guys. I had a couple of things going on Tuesday, so we're just going to try to get this up, like I needed to at least a day or so later. So if when you're seeing this is because it's up probably on a Thursday evening. So with that said, I want to go ahead and just jump right into it. Now, if you all remember from last episode, a lot of stuff was going on, dealing with, Gamby trying to make amends, of course, with Jefferson, working past that, the trust factor is really not there. But in the end, they're trying to do what they need to do to figure out where they move those pods with those people who they are storing somewhere to use, I'm assuming, abilities. We still don't know the bigger picture, and we still need to know more answers about that. We know the person who's in charge is Martin Proctor, and with that, comes a lot of stuff. Gamby knows what he can do clearly because remember he was tortured. Same thing with Jennifer, still trying to just kind of lay low, just want to be a normal kid, whichever, didn't see too much with the family besides them getting together. Anissa working with Gamby to help her father when he was being set up, being kind of course Kara, but she has to go along with it, whichever. She's considered a bad guy to me personally. I know she's conflicted because she doesn't believe Jefferson and she doesn't want to believe he's Black Lightning. And of course, we saw that they used a holographic image of him, so that will make them think that it's not him. But of course, Proctor still wants her to follow all the rules he has set for her to do because he has a main agenda. We're still not fully aware of what it is. Now moving forward with this particular episode, of course, Gamby, Anissa, and Jefferson are still trying to figure out where do you think those people moved them to another facility. Still not sure where the location's at, so they're trying everything they can, of course, with Gamby's help, and so far, nothing. So they're trying to pinpoint some areas, and it's still kind of in the works, so he's trying to figure out some things, even from one of the guys that he dealt with, the one that he'd injected with some sort of spider venom or something. He basically didn't give him all the information, so he had to meet up with him, and he gave him 48 hours to figure out, the information he needs to give to him, because he's like, he really doesn't know. I think he knows something, but he's afraid, whatever, because he was just like, just shoot me. But I don't think he wants to die. He's not going to kill him. Gamby really does not really feel the need, always feel like need to do that. But I like how he basically gave him, a threat that I'll let some other people do all that, because he doesn't have the stomach for it, which I thought was rather funny. He can be very cutthroat, Gamby can, but sometimes, he has an inkling of heart, whatever. He's like, no, I won't do it, but I'll let somebody else do the dirty work. So now the thing that I liked about this episode is we finally get to see, of course, Tobias, and before I get to him, Khalil. Now Khalil's been missing action in a couple of episodes and reviews ago. I told you guys I'm looking forward to seeing him back here before the finale, or at least on the finale. It looks like we're going to get to see them before, so that's good. And when you see him, it doesn't look exactly the same. A little bit has changed. Overall aesthetics, of course, the hair, and then of course he is walking. Of course, bigger part. He is stopped by, of course, Jefferson, because Jefferson's like, hey, Khalil. Of course, you think he's seeing a double take. He gets out of the car to have a conversation with him. And he's just like, hey, you could tell his overall demeanor and behavior is kind of different. He's not really jiving with Jefferson. He's like, oh, you trying to do that mentoring thing. I'm not here for this. He does recall how you really didn't want, Jennifer around me. And to be quite honest with you, a little bit of it, he really didn't. The way he treated him a little bit, like stay away from and all that. She's the girlfriend, what do you think she was going to do? Whichever, And then, of course, him, that anger, the resentment, the misunderstanding of, where to put that anger in and taking it out on your girlfriend. But, he had no one else to blame. He's going to blame her, even though she's not the one that shot you. We can understand you feel like the wrong place at the wrong time. If I'd never been there, this wouldn't happen to me, whichever. So in the midst of this, he still is holding some of that, residual anger, because when he's trying to reach out to him, like, how are you walking? What experiment? He's asking him a couple questions. He's answering a little bit. He's just like, why are you so concerned with that? I'm walking now. Why don't you just be happy? But then he's like, okay, you did this and all that, you're not about that part, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm here to help you. Somebody could be kind of using you, some sort of like a puppet. And he's just like, I'm not here for this. I'm not here to have this talk. Let me go about my business or whatever. And all. He walks up, and of course Jefferson's thinking, oh my God, he might be working with one of those guys from SA, Proctor or whatever, because Gamby, of course, has been filled in. He's just like, something's not like with that, the technology, we never acquired it to use on a human. So of course, he is one of the first test subjects of that, because at the beginning of close towards the beginning of the episode, we are backly introduced to Tobias. He has been hurt, of course, as you know, from what happened with him at that nightclub. He lost his sister, whichever, but he was taken out of the fray and they got him out of there, quick getaway, because that's exactly what his sister was intending. But in fact, she got, killed because of a ricochet bullet that was trying to be distracted and deterred from Black Lightning, and it hit her. So they weren't able to save her. She died basically there on the ground with him Black Lightning trying to assist her, but she didn't want it, and she just took the hit for it, because I think honestly she thought if she got caught, she was going to go to jail. There was no way for her to get out of that. So it was just you rather just die there since your brother couldn't get you. So in the midst of that, it shows him looking at his wounds or whichever. Then of course that means that Martin had done something, because of course we see him talking to him, oh, you look much better, oh, Black Lightning did a little number on you, whatever. And of course Tobias is not here for that. He's not even interested in the jokes. He's like, I need you to take care of something for me, because Martin Proctor is his boss. And even though Lady Eve is out of the picture, he still has to report to her. So what's happening is he wants him to find Black Lightning, and he's like, okay. And he says, when you find him, don't kill him, because of course he wants to. And honestly, even though I don't particularly care, who can blame him? He feels like he took his sister. Little does he know Black Lightning is Jefferson Pierce. You took his father. Not to say it was a win-win, but it is what it is. So he's like, I got something for you. That's when we were introduced to Khalil again at the beginning of the episode. So he's just like, hell, hello, Khalil and all. He walks in there, whichever, so at least he knows he has him to help him. We don't at first know what his real true abilities are until later in the episode. Now, it just kind of really shows in this episode. There's a cute little scene between Lynn and Jefferson, which I enjoyed. It was so cute. Her asking him, come over, thinking something's going on, whatever. He wants to make sure she's okay, she's protected. He shows up, whatever, and of course she's in straight lingerie. And he's like, what's wrong? She's like, it's a spider. And he's like, where is it? He's like, it's somewhere, just so cute. I just love the whole family dynamic with them all together. But I love their, banter amongst each other, because he cares for her, and she does. And she admitted that when they had their moment, when they were lying down, and she was just like, with everything that's been going on, those feelings I think really came back, and she did not want to honestly miss this opportunity to start trying to rebuild. So I actually like that, but it looks like it might be short-lived, you guys, because that scene where she is with her daughter and she's trying to really understand what's going on with Jennifer, even though they discussed it, was it 2 episodes ago about her being a generator, keyword generator. We'll discuss that a little bit further. Just not, she doesn't want to use her powers. She doesn't want really nothing to do with it. She's going to let her father and her sister deal that's their thing. She just wants to be a normal kid, hang out with her girlfriend, her best friend, and just be a part of the groups, the cliques, all the things we do in high school. And she's like, I'm going to find a way. She's not really trying to suppress it, whichever, and all that. So when a situation comes where her father, comes to see her and all that, to kind of forewarn her about Khalil, his running with him and how he's not the same person, she was just like, I don't want nothing to do with it. You do it. She's like, and she just kind of opens up and kind of lets it out like, I'm glad my mom's trying to find a way to fix me. And he turns around and hears that. So that causes an issue because he goes to confront her. And the worst thing you could hear, because of all of us who liked them together, he was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad the girls will know that we were considering getting back together. So it's like he'd heard her because he feels like she's trying to change her and all that. And she's really not. She wants to understand. Jennifer wants to understand, but so she can protect herself, she can know whatever. And it's like he feels like she wants her to lay dormant. She's not really, embracing herself. You make it seem like it's something wrong with her, whichever, and all that. And I don't believe that for a minute, because if that was the case, then that means that, Lynn would have never gotten with him back when she met him. However, you never know. We'll probably see a flashback, maybe in season 2 about that, how they eventually met or whatever, because she met him when he was much younger, probably in his 20s or whatever. So it's just not like, she knew about that, because eventually he had to confide that he couldn't go around there and be Black Lightning. And of course, as you saw flashbacks early in the beginning of the season, where she had a different hairstyle and he's in the tub bleeding. So, I'm just kind of not buying that he thinks that that's how she truly feels. I think he's angry at the thought of her considering doing that when she's not, but that's how he took it. So it kind of has a little rift between the two. So I'm hoping they fix that soon, but it is what it is. Now for Latavius, Lala, he's having a situation where he's talking to his guys, who are out there trying to sell that stuff that he needs to sell. Because I think he got over what 2 million worth of product, and he has had all his 3 or 4 guys take all their bags, and they had a certain amount of deadline time frame that was given to him to get it done, or they're gonna have consequences. Now I don't know if the guy in the back did something, said something, because he looked really roughed up. He did something he ain't supposed to be doing, and in the midst of that, something happens where he hears a sound of a voice, and it sounds similar to what his voice sounded like, and it put him in some sort of trance, which sent him to the guy that Gamby went to see about the weapons and about the location of certain things that he needed to know, that he didn't get all the information he needed from him the first time around. I can't remember his name. Apologies for that, you guys. But yeah, he's standing there with one of the guns because the guy's talking to somebody on the phone. Then all of a sudden he hears something and turns his Lala. It's almost like he was in some sort of trance, because he just leaves his place, his club or whatever, and he goes there. So at first I didn't understand what's going on, but as I go on this review, it'll become a little clearer with you guys. So from there on, it kind of shows a scene between Jennifer and Khalil, because once she heard from her father, at first she wasn't going to do it. She was going to sit there, but she gets attacked, so he wants to meet her. So of course she's at her old house, her father's house. So she goes to her actual home, and he's like, "I've been waiting here." I don't know. He's like, they hug, they bond, and she's going through the motions, seeing he's doing well, he's happy, he's smiling, whatever, and he shows her what happened. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm glad that he let it be known what exactly was going on with the hair, because I'm gonna tell you like this: when I first saw it, I said, we need an explanation. I know I'm not going to be the only one who watched that episode thinking the same thing. What happened? So, of course, I'm explaining the generation, the stuff that they put in him, those plates in his, back of his spine going all the way up, how he had to reintroduce himself. It was like, some bolt or whatever, and it's regenerated so much that his hair was growing at a fast rate. So I was like, okay, good. Makes sense. So it was fine. And her trying to understand the situation of how this happened, what's going on, whichever, and all that. But then when he wanted to kind of, apologize, and he did, and she felt bad, whatever, and all, and he tried to come into a kiss, and he was just like, no. And she kept asking questions. He's like, I just want you to be happy. What is all this about? Whatever. And he's like, you know what? He kept thinking something might have been where her father was trying to influence her feelings, ask these questions. This is why are you asking this? Can't you just be happy? I'm here. I want to be with you. And he's like, you know what? I didn't want your bleep anyway. What, I'm gonna go about my business and all that. And he literally jumps off of the house, the roof. So she feels kind of sad about it. He's kind of hurt again. And even though he's happy, he can't get past the anger overall. I mean, it's really, you can tell it's there. He would want to do that, and I think in some ways Khalil is conflicted. So when he goes back to see Tobias, of course he's eating his dinner. He's telling him what he needs him to do, because he's been given his marching orders from Proctor, like, get Black Lightning, bring him back alive. You can tell he's not in this, because he's like, he's done some damage on my end to my family, whatever. Now I want to kill him, but he knows until this is done, he can't really do what he needs to do. So he has to follow the orders that he's been given. And he's telling Khalil he needs to help when he's like, I want to do this. He's like, well, you need to do this, whatever. He says, because if you don't, I'm gonna rip those plates out the back of your spine. You ain't gonna be walking. And I think he was like, yes, sir. He kind of toughened up. He says, I want you to, basically lure Black Lightning out. You're going to go to that school, which he didn't want to go to Garfield, and he's going to do what I asked you to do and handle it. And let's just say that scene, that was a good scene with it from Garfield, from him showing up, wreaking havoc with the other students and whatever. But the thing I found really interesting was, I thought he was going to go in and just like, rough stuff up and all that just to lure him out. He has these little things on his arm that, propel little small little clips, syringes of sorts into people that has like little bits of green light or whatever in it. It's almost like he's trying to cause a situation where he has all these people, on overdose or on drugs, or whatever, and all that. Every time he turned around, he was just shooting them out like little darts. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I thought he was just going to rough up, the school, vandalize, whatever, and all that, to just flush him out. So Tobias could be, in that, moment where it's, face to face, or face off, and then before they get, butt heads, whatever. But no, he was doing some damage. He runs into Jennifer, so in the midst of that, he's like, you need to get your sister and all that. So you can see there's certain parts of him where he still has, his humanity, his light, if you want to call it, whatever, but he still has to do his bidding, because you could tell when he was telling her, get out of here, I have to do this. And he's being forced to do something he doesn't really want to do, because this is not something he chooses to do. And he's doing damage. He runs into a friend who knows him, and he pushes him out and throws him out there into the fray. It's just ridiculous. And then that's all, of course, you see Black Lightning and Thunder show up. You see Kara getting some, the vice principal getting the kids out, telling them to go. She walks past, Black Light and all that, and she's just going along with it, whatever. She has to act like she's, just everything's normal on her end, being the vice principal, whatever. And from there, they split up because he says, go ahead and split up. So he's going to see what's going on this way. She goes, she sees, of course, Cyanide has some of the kids, and she basically uses them as a decoy to get into the sea. And then they get into their little powwow. And it was a good fighting scene because let me tell you, couple episode reviews, I did say to you all, I said I want to see Cyanide do something with Thunder, and I finally got what I wanted. I saw a good fight scene because I said, they both put up a good fight. Because all I'm used to seeing Cyanide do is slide across the daggone, screen shooting a gun. I want to see some fighting. I want to see some kicks, whatever. And I got what I wanted, and it was good. She put up a good fight. She got, Thunder down a couple of times, whatever and all. But Thunder came back. And she did her little thunderclap, whatever and all, knocked that girl out, whatever and all that. And I didn't feel sorry for her. She deserved it. Now, going back to Black Lightning, his situation with Tobias, that face to face, all that. But I like how he tried to shoot him. And at first it kind of worked. But then as you can see from Gamby's technology, he has something going on there because we never saw. So I'm assuming in between him, I can't figure out the name to call it, but it does remind me of a situation from the movie Iron Man. It's like something is inside of his chest, generate or whatever and all that to keep him. So that means, like we said with the resurrection, you already know he's been through stuff. I need to know about that, and I pray they talk about that. If not in the finale, we're going to get more of this in season 2. I feel like we're going to get a lot of flashbacks with those type of scenes, which will let us know how these things came to be with him in the beginning anyway, with the amount of strength he got and all those type of things. So their little fight scene was pretty good. It got even better when Khalil showed up, and I mean literally threw what looked like some sort of locker to him. And of course, it literally caught Jefferson off guard. He was literally shocked because he didn't realize he had power like that. He didn't even think that Khalil was there because at first he didn't see him. He saw Tobias. So when he saw that, he's like, yeah, I came prepared. Like, I knew you might try something. I have my extra, muscle. And muscle it was because he like literally knocked him out from the force. And of course, Tobias was pissed because he was giving his orders to not kill him. So of course he's mad. Then at that moment, he was on his way because Gamby had to tell her, you're done with Cyanide, get over there, help your dad. Your dad's down for the count. And she showed up right in time because they were about to try to reveal his face. And we know that can't go down like that because it'll be too soon. It's just a season 1. We have a long way to go. So she showed up. Of course, Jennifer stayed inside, hid whatever, found her father. And let's just say, like I said at the beginning of the review, her mother said she's a generator. Her powers saved her daddy. It was awesome. I love that part with her because now she feels, I think with this part happening, it'll open her eyes. Maybe in the last finale, they'll have a talk about that at the cabin or wherever they're at, hiding out at, her understanding her abilities and how it can be helpful. Look how it helped her to help her dad. And I mean, because she was just distraught. And then when she just put her hands on him and she didn't know what to do, she's pressing like she's going to do a compression, but I'm assuming the emotions and all that caused it to generate, and she powered him up. She had to do it a couple of times, but he came back and they were just happy because Gab was like, keep doing it, and she did. And that was just a great part to see that, to know that, yes, sweetie, as much as you really don't want to embrace it, this might kind of made a tide turn with her that she might consider it now and slowly work her way into understanding her powers. Like they told her, she has to control her overall behavior, her feelings, her, when she gets angry about certain things because she doesn't want to be exposed. She has to be careful. So they're going to have no choice but to teach her now because you can clearly tell before she was considering helping her sister. She's outside trying to figure out how to deal with her powers, and she didn't know how to assess how the ways of making them work, like, Jefferson and Anessa. So I'm looking forward to seeing her really figure them out over the course of next season and then bringing her into the fold. And then it's, of course, the family dynamic fully in with their powers. It's going to be awesome. But yes, of course they got him out. They got him to another location because it looks like there's some wooded area now. They're not back at Jefferson's old house. They've moved to another location, and Gammy makes a comment about cloaking them so they can't be caught. They said, get rid of the cell phones, break them up, throw them in the water. We can't be seen. So from there, that part is it. You don't really see anything else from that. You see the part where Law has been, basically summoned again. He is, blindfolded or whatever, with a bag again, like they did in that first actual episode. And at first, you think he's going to do something because he has a gun. He's like, I should shoot you, whatever. And of course, Cyanide has her gun on him as well. And he's just like, He says, the devil holds all the cards, and that's all of a sudden, that's all that he hears because that's what happened again. And then he becomes like a puppet. He's like, sit your, beat down. And he sits down and he's telling him, okay, he says, now you believe in the resurrection, Latavius? Again, he says, and he admits it. I killed Lady Eve. He says, now I got to deal with Proctor. And then he'll be running the show. That's the end game. He wants them all out of the way so he can run everything in Freeland, whatever. Nobody can tell him nothing. They'll all come to him. He'll be in charge of everything, and he wants Lala to help him do it. And clearly, Lala already did because he killed that man who had the guns, whatever that Gambit originally had saw prior to Lala showing up and handling him the bidding that Tobias basically sent to him through his ear. So he's somewhat controlling him now. Like we all noticed in a couple other episodes, the situation with Lady Eve in that little mortuary doing the work she's doing something, just like when she gave Gamby that little powder and all that. I need to know more about that too. There's so much to, so much of this show that I'm so looking forward to learning more about and understanding, that I hate that it's coming to an end into the new season. We have one episode left, you guys, but I love how it keeps me on my toes and excitement to watch the show. This has been a great season. I look forward to buying this on DVD and watching this thing all over again. I'll probably marathon it like a week or something prior to the new season coming back when it comes back. But I have not been disappointed since the first episode. I just can't say enough about it. This was a good episode as well. I was happy to see Tobias back. I noticed we had like 2 episodes where he wasn't in it. I think it was a 2, maybe 3, excuse me. So it was like, okay, it was finally good because now the finale, I did see the preview, looks really good. So this is going to be a nice little ending for the finale. They're going to give us something. They're going to leave us, high and dry on others. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people, want, beginning, middle, and end. But I like when they leave some things, left unsaid, because we need stuff to go into the new season. You got to keep us guessing. So, but you know what? I'm just, happy overall. And like I said, I love the dynamic. I love the family. I love the villains. I love it all. So you guys comment. Let me know what you all liked from this particular episode. And with that said, I will see you guys on the next review. See you then. Take care.